Welcome to Sports Geek Throwback. Here's your host, the sports geek himself, Sean Callanan.
G'day, I'm Sean Callanan from Sports Geek, and welcome to Sports Geek Throwback, where I pick out the best bits from the Sports Geek podcast archive. For this week's Sports Geek Throwback, I go back to episode 171 with Steve Conley, published back in November 2017. Steve Conley was working at the Boston Red Sox at the time. He is now the VP of IT at Tended Bar. And luckily enough, I caught up with him recently at Seat in Las Vegas. Remember, if I can help you, I would love to. I love working with podcast listeners, whether that be across digital, marketing and sponsorship. We've developed Digital to Dollars to help sports teams and leagues better understand how they can commercialise their digital fan base. I'd love to help you. Please get in touch. In this throwback episode, Steve and I discuss the different types of fans you can reach through different generations and how you need to target those fans differently. Remember, you can listen to the full episode at sportsgeekhq.com/171. Please enjoy my chat with Steve Conley.
And they consume it completely different, whereas, your dad and my dad would sit down and watch a whole game. And that's what they would do every time their favorite team would play, whereas, our generation would watch and go and still understand the whole season ticket and that kind of thing. But now we're moving to, yes, I want to be a fan. My son's a fan of the same sports I am. But he just goes to the game, and that's how he consumes, or he'll consume the content differently. So it's just the consumer behaviour in how they're consuming it and how they want to purchase it and how they want to show their fandom is changing. And so that's the piece that sports needs to evolve. And I think tech plays a really good play in bringing that all together. But it's still something that a lot of sports are looking at, and especially around the ticketing piece around how do we get the cheeks in the seats? How do we still get people there? Because it's still, that's the primary goal of, a lot of the work you're doing in the data side is to make sure that you're still getting those people turning up and continuing to solve that problem.
Right. And, I'm lucky at who we are, right? So we're blessed. I have this conversation with Wade at the Twins a lot, and some of the things I'll say, like, we came up with the term, it's like first world problems.
Exactly.
Anybody, if I did my complaints about too much data, too much this, too much that, like, how do you manage this kind of stuff? I can't deal with all this extra interest. And other clubs are like, I'm just trying to sell out, they're dealing on it with a different level. So I don't want to come across as like, we're blessed to who we are. I think we realize it, but it doesn't mean that you don't want to get better, right? So,
yeah, and it's also, you don't want to rest on your laurels, because the easiest thing to do is to go, we are the Red Sox. We do have super support in Boston, and you could still go back to the days when you started. It's like, well, if we just rolled out baseball, people would turn up. Right. But if you're not moving with the consumer and moving to where they're going, at some point those consumers just won't turn up.
Exactly.
So you've got to always be looking to innovate and engage your customer, keep them involved, and do the things that keep them as passionate as your current fan base. A lot of sports these days have that older season ticket base that are of a different generation that as they get older, they won't, they won't be there. And so what does the next generation of fans look like? Because it won't be exactly the same. So, the mix of, different packages or single games, how the secondary market plays out, especially in the US. That's pretty much what the next 5 to 10 years are going to look like, especially on the ticketing side.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing that's going to be like, and this is way above my pay grade, but it's just something I like keeping an eye on, is what's happening, because it's tied to the next generation too, is what's happening on the broadcasting rights and things like that. Because, I don't think that like you look at like one of the things that's always on the radio now is just like the numbers are down for NFL or whatever. Yep. And I don't think that the interest is down or that I just think it's how people are a big factor is that, streaming's become a bigger play. There's other things that are
there's so many more there's so many more entertainment options available now.
If you like this Sports Geek Throwback episode, please check out the full episode at sportsgeekhq.com. Please share Sports Geek with your sports business colleagues. We appreciate you sharing. We love working with podcast listeners. Please get in touch so we can help your team. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call. All Sports Geek episodes are available at sportsgeekhq.com and all podcast platforms.